Hello there, fellow creators. I just wanted to go over what I found on Reddit. This person's asking on how would you be able to recreate something like this? What they're looking at doing is being able to have a font with this certain style. Not sure if it's wanting to be dynamic. There is a way to make it dynamic so that you can change the font, but getting this effect, if you want to change it, is not going to happen. So I'm going to walk through the steps on how you can get to certain stages to break it apart. But this is just going to be a quick little unscripted tutorial. So let me start off here. So I'm just going to put in a text. Oops, it dragged. I hate when it does this. Come on. Give me text. There we go. So we're going to put 2 lines of text. Center align it just to make it easier to grab. I'm going to choose a big, thick, heavy font. Arial Black should do. We're also going to change this to full caps. Yeah, I could do it this way, or I could do it temporary to where it still will always stay the option to change it back and forth. I'm going to do it temporary. Now, as you see here, this is offset from this about like that. There we go. The first thing I'm going to do is go to my appearance palette, and I'm going to do this color. So I'm going to eyedrop out the red. I'm going to make a swatch that's global so that way I can reuse it. And then this deep blue purple. And I'm going to make a swatch of that so that way I can regrab that. So those are 2 global swatches. So that way in the future, if I want to change the color, I can easily come and grab it. Then I'm going to select these 2 objects again. I'm going to group. Then with that group, I'm going to apply the first color and then the second color, which would be the stroke underneath the fill, which would be that deep purple blue. Make sure it stands out. I'm going to round it because this doesn't have any sharp corners on it. That looks good there. And then, I'm going to make the background real quick too. So the background is easy. Just drop it in the square. I drop. They're 2 different colors. I'll choose the darker one. And then we're going to turn that into a global swatch. And then in my layers, I'm going to create a new layer background. And then we're going to move this to the background and move the background below. Okay. So that way it stands out. And then what he did is he had this shape knocking out. So just come in here and do a quick one. Doesn't need to be perfect because theirs is not perfect. And you can always come back and add more if you'd like. And then actually, all I have to do is select this, Control C, F, and then select these 2. And then I'm going to pull out the Pathfinder. I'm going to use the through hole. And then I'm going to hit the eyedropper tool and apply that. Okay. So there's those 2 parts. And then because I'm not making this too dynamic, but it's dynamic enough to where I can come back and edit in the future. So I've locked my background layer. I'm going to put this back away because I don't need it anymore right now. And then I'm going to go ahead and apply some of these effects here. So I do have a cool tool that can do it, but let me show you how you would do it if you did not have that cool tool. So I'm going to duplicate my fill layer. And because this stroke is 5 points, I'm going to drag it underneath, change the color back to the solid color, go effects, path, offset path. And It's 5 points, so I'm going to go 5 point, and then I'm going to select rounded. So it keeps it the same as the stroke. Then, with that selected, I'm going to go effects. I could use 3D, but what I like to use is distort, transform, transform. And then under here, we're going to move it. So horizontally, you can move it, but I'm going to keep that 0. And then this is where I'm going to move it down. Then I'm going to scale it just a little bit. And then I can make copies. Oops. I need to move it less. Forget about that. It only needs to move 1. So it's going in, so I need to move it down more. Maybe just the number of copies. Why is this not working? Maybe just because of the scale. I think that's what it did. Yeah, it's because of the scaling. Okay, I'm gonna have to do the scaling. Oh, I don't need to do scaling. What am I doing? 0.5. There we go. And then just depending on how many steps I go is where it's going to bring it up and down. So it definitely is there. I'm going to do that. And then I could directly select this and move this around and it will reform it. And then we're going to, with the whole thing selected, I'm going to group it again, which it doesn't let me do that for some reason. Why doesn't it let me regroup it? Oh, I want to double group. It won't let me do that anymore. All right, well, let's just apply the arch to it. So we're going to go warp and then arch. And it's not quite that much. It's about 10. Yeah. And then the other part I'm going to do here is we're going to change the vertical. Yeah. So the top gets smaller. That's pretty much it. That's how you'd get a basic of that. Now, if you want to distort it and break it up, you could. So what I'm going to do is with that whole layer, I'm just going to duplicate it. I'm going to go ahead and delete these 2 original links. I'm going to turn off the original layer. Actually, let's create a new layer. I'm going to label it temp. I'm going to put those into temp. All right. That way I could see the original. And then I'm going to expand this. So first I'm going to outline. Then I'm going to go expand appearance. Now, it did give me a whole bunch of craziness, but what I'm going to come in here and do is find where those effects are. I'm going to select them, and then I'm going to go to my Pathfinder and then unite them so that it becomes one. Even though it did become a stroke, if I just reverse it out from being a stroke, it's now just the background. So now I have a foreground and a background. And now I can come in and start distorting out this text. So I'm just going to use my pen tool and I'm going to start adding these cracks. So it comes in, crack, and then comes up like that. I don't know why it looks like there's 2 layers. There is. So I'm going to make sure there's not 2 layers. There we go. Now there's only 1. So I could do those cracks. And then down here, they had the same thing going on where they had a little bit of jaggedness coming in here. So that's what you're going to have to sit and do, is manually come in to add those extra little breakout effects and distortions. So if you want that, you're going to have to manually come in and add those. Those wouldn't be an automatic. There is a way to do it, but it tends to not look as artistic. It tends to look just like a font style. Um, you could use a special font and then do the same thing. Like I said, this little distortion down at the bottom, making it look like it's distorted paint or dripping stone. It's not going to be the same. But that was a little quick tutorial, and if you like now, if you come back to your original here, you could change this text now. Why isn't it? Oh, wrong layer. So now I can come in here and rewrite this text, reform it, move it around. I can come in here to my effects layer. I can change the arch and adjust it to where I want it. But once it's flat, I like to have an adjustment layer, and then I like to have where I'm going to. This one would be flat. There's no way going back once you've actually edited it. So I always duplicate in stages. Like, I'm here, I can just come over here, duplicate this, and then turn off my old. There you go. There's the quick little meta video. Stay creative and keep learning.